All right. All right. What's going on, guys? I'm Zach.
I'm Levi.
I'm Jonah. Special guest.
Special guest of the day. Episode 14 of Blitz and Gigs. Hope you guys enjoy.
All right.
You want to start off with the season win totals?
Let's do it.
Season win totals.
You guys feel on AFC or NFC first?
Either or. Let's do AFC, I guess.
AFC.
AFC, we'll start with the North. Baltimore, 11.5.
I feel like they didn't regress since last year. I'm going to take the over.
Give me... Depends on what they do in the draft. If they fix their receiving problem, over.
If they don't?
Under.
Okay.
Lamar can't do it by himself.
Cincinnati, 9.5.
They finished 9-8 last year.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take the over. I don't really think they can get worse defensively, and they just kept their core unit together on offense, barring a Burrow injury.
Yeah.
Barring a Burrow injury. They got to get off to a hot start. Haven't got off to a hot start in a while. They get off to a hot start, we're going to see a good Cincinnati season.
They seem to go like 0-3 every single year. Last year was about as underwhelming as it gets, so I agree. I'd probably take the over.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, 8.5. Surprisingly lower than Cincinnati.
Who's their quarterback now?
It's going to be Aaron.
Is it Aaron Rodgers? Is it decided
Like
pretty much?
90% sure, yeah.
Or Mason Rudolph.
Now the Jets went
To lose.
8-9,
7-10, I want to say.
7-10 with Rodgers, and that was a better team.
You do have the addition of DK. You have
DK
Lost
and
Najee
Pickens,
then.
but compared to Devontae and Garrett Wilson, personally, I'm taking Devontae and
I
Garrett
agree.
Wilson.
Fryermuth.
Worst run game.
They got rid
Similar
of
Jalen
line.
Warren.
They got rid of Najee.
Yeah,
Jalen Warren versus Breece Hall and Braylon Allen.
I'd probably lean towards the Jets being better.
That said, I mean 8.5. That would be a losing season, right?
Yeah.
That'd be a
First one for
break
Tomlin.
even season for Tomlin if it's 8-1.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take the over.
I'm gonna take the over. TJ Watt have a big season.
I'm going to take the under because I can't stand Aaron Rodgers.
You're talking to the wrong guy.
Cleveland, 5.5. Tied for the lowest.
I don't even know what their record was last year.
5.5. You said?
Yes. Their record last year. That's a great question. I will say they won't have to sit through Deshaun Watson reps next year, so that's a plus.
For the majority of the season at least.
Yes.
Do you think they draft a quarterback?
3-14, is that right?
Who do they have Kenny Pickett right now?
Yeah. Yeah, they were 3-14.
It's Kenny Pickett and then Deshaun.
Kenny Pickett, Deshaun.
Unless they draft one at 2, which
That's
is
what I'm saying.
now
You think
possible.
they draft a quarterback. If they draft a quarterback, I say over. If they don't, I say under.
Shador's pro day was nice, but I don't think he's.
I don't think they're drafting it too because they're still tied to Deshaun for like $70 million this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're probably gonna wait out. Even then, it's such a low bar.
See, but Abdul Carter's been rumored to go there like since the jump.
Right.
But that was when Miles was projected to get traded.
Right.
And now that they're keeping Miles, why would they still go edge there? That's never made sense to me. Like everybody's still saying they're going to go Abdul at 2.
Yeah. I mean, that would be a pretty lethal
It'd be nice, but like
duo to have. But I'd say I think they got to draft a quarterback. There's so many unanswered questions around that. Who's their receivers right now, too? Is it still Cooper?
Jerry Judy.
Cooper's
gone.
Njoku.
Judy and Njoku.
They lost Chubb. Nobody's re-signed Chubb.
Yeah. I'm going to take the under. Even with a rookie quarterback, I think it's going to be so hard to find your legs in Cleveland.
It's 3.5, you said?
5.5.
Oh, 5.5, yeah, no, under.
Yeah, I'll probably agree there. They're going to be pretty bad. AFC East. Buffalo, 11.5.
This is the biggest opportunity they've ever had postseason wise, but that doesn't mean that they're going to shine in the regular season. They re-signed a lot of key stars from a team that wasn't amazing, just had some amazing performances. They need a receiver really bad. They needed one really bad last year.
Desperately.
They don't even have James Cook locked up.
Were they picking, like 28, 29?
Yeah, really. I mean,
Ray Davis is
last 4 picks.
Ray Davis is
Ray Davis is nice, but
You can't pay James Cook 15 mil.
no, but I don't know that he's asking for 15.
Pretty sure he is, right?
Top of the market is 20.
Okay.
Average is probably what, like 12 for a lead carry guy?
Something like that, yeah.
I don't know.
if not a little more.
The defense looks nice. I'll take the over because I think they're going to feast in that division. I think New England is not going to win a game against Buffalo. I think at best Miami splits, probably not though.
I think they got 5 wins out of the division.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think either you might find New York or you might find Miami splitting, but
Yeah.
not both.
Yeah, I probably agree for the same reason. I think other teams in the AFC are going to struggle because they have tougher divisions. Like the West and the North are going to be,
Yeah.
killing each other record-wise. So
Yeah.
I would agree. Moving on to Miami, 8.5.
They finished 8-9 last year, 9-8.
Yeah.
I think they did 8-9 because
they lost.
Cincy had the chance to clinch with Denver loss. It wasn't Miami that shut him out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take the under personally.
Under.
I think Tua is at real risk of injury,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. And in addition to that, there's no way Tyreek's gonna play a full season there, whether it's injury or trade or even if he just plays and sucks.
Definitely under. 2 is not the answer. Sorry. Even when he's healthy. I know that might hit a soft
No,
spot.
I'm not disagreeing.
2 is not the answer. I think it's time to start making some tough decisions on moving on from kind of what's been going on. I feel like with that team, they keep throwing the same team at the field and expecting different results, and it's just not changing.
I'm going to try not to be long-winded here, but so I agree with you. I think if he's there in the second round, I would love to take a flyer on Jalen Milroe. I honestly would have loved to pick him in the first round, but then they went and signed Zach Wilson, so I don't think it's likely that they do that. To address your point, I think no matter what the O-line looks like, he's at risk for a career-ending injury, but the fact that they just lost their best O-lineman in Teron Armstead because he retired yesterday, that hurts. With that being said, I think Tyreek was extremely underwhelming last year due to injury. Jalen Waddle's always getting nicked up as well. I don't foresee the play calling being as bad next year. Hopefully it reverts back to the 2023 form of Miami, so I'm going to take the over. I think they'll be right around the 9 or 10 win mark. But
Who are their coordinators now?
the guy from Houston who got fired for some odd reason, what's his name? Slowick, yeah.
I like Slowick.
And then their DC is Anthony Weaver, who statistically they had a good defense last year, but it wasn't. But New England, 7.5. It's a little rich. Under. I do think they'll be competitive.
None of the signings impressed me.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, like they had 120 million in cap space, and they're still holding 60, and none of the signings were the best guy available. To me, it was like they were cheaping out with no reason to. And I'm not sold on Drake May 100% yet.
I disagree. I think wide receiver wise, they should have swung a little harder, 100%. But look at how the Houston Texans sort of rebuilt in an offseason, or the Commanders did. You draft the right quarterback. We're assuming Drake May's the guy.
My first-year head coach.
Is he though? Because
I mean, no, but it's first new regime.
Yes.
First year, new system.
Yeah, but the Texans and the Commanders showed a recipe for success, and that you sign some not mediocre players, but decent guys. You're not going to spend top dollar, and because their roster was just so bad last year, like getting some talent.
It is a very
help.
similar situation. So you have Dan Quinn, same thing in
Head
Washington.
coach.
first year
Yeah.
head coach in that
Yeah.
regime, building a new system around
Mhm.
a brand new quarterback. Give or take. I mean, Drake May's not brand new, but more or less.
I think they'll be
said,
right around the 7 or 8 win mark.
None of us are convinced that Drake May is Jaden Daniels, though.
Very true.
And I think that's a huge part of it. And that's not to say that they can't get 8 wins, but I really do question. I mean, he went like 1-9 in his time as a starter, and it's a terrible roster, but his stats don't show that he was doing a whole lot on his own. So
For sure.
I think it would take a lot of moves that we just haven't seen yet to improve the run game, the receiving room, the offensive line for Drake May to string together an 8-win season.
For sure. Final team for the East, New York Jets, tied for the lowest with 5.5.
I'm taking the over.
You got Justin Fields.
Aaron Glenn, a head coach.
And still, Devontae's gone, but you still have
Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson. Aaron Glenn. 5.5, you said?
Yep.
6 wins? I can see 6 wins happening. Yeah.
Really solid defense.
Yeah, solid defense. 6 wins.
Fields last year as a starter, his last full year, he went 7-10. Went 4-2 in that stint with the Steelers. I feel like this is a better team than both of those teams personally.
Yeah, I agree. I think Fields has enough talent around him to squeeze out 6 or 7 wins. Similar record to the Patriots. Moving on to the West, the Kansas City Chiefs, 11.5.
Because of the division, I'm going to take the under.
I'm going to take the under as well.
Also going to take the under. I don't think they're winning the division at all.
Who do you think is?
Our next team, the Chargers.
Chargers.
9.5 for them.
They had 10 or 11 wins last year.
I think 11.
10 and
11,
7,
yeah.
6.
Yeah.
I'd take the over for sure.
I take the over as well. I think they got a good thing going. I think Harbaugh's got the team on the move, and I think recently they've drafted well. So, aside from Quentin Johnston, yeah, I'll take the over.
And even Quentin Johnston was semi-productive last year in Harbaugh's system. I think if they're able to squeeze some talent, even if they don't draft a receiver in round 1, you take a guy in the 2nd or 3rd round, get some production out of him. I think Najee Harris is going to explode this year behind that O-line, so I'd definitely take the over as well.
Watch out for Jaden Higgins from Iowa State in the 2nd round.
Okay.
That's my guy.
Okay. Denver, 9.5.
Once again, they went 10 and 7 last year.
I'm gonna take the under.
Really?
I think they regress. I think the 2nd-year slump that Bo Nix has is going to be pretty drastic. The film on him is extensive now. I think that you'll start to see some of those cracks in his game that you kind of saw in college. I get Sean Payton's a great coach, but I don't think that that roster has quite enough to get them to 10 wins with Bo Nix. There was a reason why in college they called him Bo Picks. You know what I mean? And we only really saw it for 1 or 2 games last season, but I think that some of those get exposed.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's totally it. Like, there were reports that Sean Payton dumbed down the playbook for him to be able to have that streak of success that he had for the later half of the season last year. And the longer you're in the league, you need to play more with your head and less with your arms, with your legs. I think he's a great athlete, a great physical talent, but it's these guys that aren't able to reinvent their game year to year that really struggle, later in their career. And C.J. Stroud was a great example of that. I would probably lean the under as well. I mean, you made improvements on the defense, but you already had the top defense in the league. So where's there to go there?
Yeah, I think oftentimes we see defenses oddly not transfer year to year. I think this one will. I think it'll honestly be even better next year and stay in that top 2 to 3 range. Interestingly, Bo Nix struggled in the early half of the year and got a lot better, whether that's a credit to the playbook shrinking or he just figured it out. I don't see as much of a sophomore slump personally, and I think they drafted a running back early. They didn't have a good run game last year despite having a pretty solid O-line, so I think that helps his case out a little bit as well. I think they finished right around 10 wins, so I'll take the over. Vegas 6.5.
Geno Smith.
Geno Smith.
I'll take the over. I think they will address running back in this draft. And Geno Smith has pretty consistently with the Seahawks been a middle of the pack QB, middle of the pack team. A lot of offensive production, a lot of turnovers, but I think he can find a way to get 7 or 8 wins.
I think 6 wins.
Just barely taking the under.
Yeah. I think Pete Carroll can scrap out 6 wins.
I agree with you, Levi. I think his success entirely is going to depend on the run game. If they can draft a guy early, whether it be Gene T or maybe a guy in this early second round. Geno looks a lot better when he had Kenneth Walker in the backfield versus Charbonnet or anybody else. So if you give him a good run game, I can see him maybe squeezing out 7 or 8. But if not, I'll take the under as well. AFC South. Houston 9.5.
It's the easiest division in football.
Mm-hmm.
Houston went, I think, 9-8, 10-7 last year.
Mostly 10-7.
I really doubt CJ's ability without an offensive line. He's not an elite rusher. I'm going to take the under.
I think they clean up in the division. 6 wins. I think that, I think they'll scrap out. You said 9.5?
Mm-hmm.
I think probably 9. And just under.
Yeah, I'm going to take the under as well. I think this might be one of the worst lines we've seen in recent memory, and that's saying a lot. You lose Steph Diggs, you're not going to have Tank Dell next year. We'll see what Christian Kirk is, but
if Joe Mixon can stay on the field, if Nico Collins can stay on the field,
I presume this division being a lot tougher this year than it has been in recent memory as well. But
if Anthony Richardson learned how to play football, I think the Colts could sweep that division.
Even Daniel Jones, dude. Jacksonville 7.5.
I hate Trevor Lawrence. Dude, I'm taking the
Under.
Both unders?
Yeah.
Under.
You don't like Trevor either?
No explanation needed, yeah. Trevor Lawrence just
I think
he's
not good.
And, I mean, ETN burned me in fantasy. Under.
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 The defense has problems.
Call me the contrarian, but I'm taking the over. I'm still a Trevor Lawrence believer. And I think Brian Thomas is insane, and they didn't get a chance to really form anything last year, and he was still...
They formed 1,400 yards, bro.
A lot of that was Mac Jones, though. Imagine...
I think Mac Jones might be better than Trevor Lawrence.
He seemed to play better than Trevor Lawrence when he was healthy.
That's fair. I think Liam Cohen is going to do the Baker Mayfield thing and get him right. Tennessee tied for the lowest at 5.5.
I'm going to take the under.
Really? Even with Cam?
Once again, I feel like they've cheaped out for the most part in free agency. One move that I saw really critiqued was that Pittsburgh lineman that they signed for $20 million a year, who was maybe 50th at tackle in the league last year. I think Cam is going to need a system to really thrive in the early years. I think at least protection, maybe not elite receivers, but elite protection, and he just doesn't have that.
I'm going to take the 5.5. I'm going to take the over. I think 6 wins. I think they can scrap out. It's a scrappy defense. I think, I think they'll scrap out 6 wins. Why not?
I agree they probably didn't have a great offseason. 5.5 is a pretty low bar. I think the division... I honestly think every team in the division is going to go split with each other, go 1-1. Maybe a big year from Calvin Ridley. maybe they draft a skill guy or maybe a running back or something. I think they can squeeze out 6. So I'll take the over as well. The Colts. 7.5.
I'm gonna take the under.
Under. Quarterback play.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the over. I think either Anthony Richardson gets it together, and if he doesn't, I think Daniel Jones is competent enough. He'll be better than Flacco was last year in his limited role, and I think he'll just.
It's such a good roster.
It is. That's exactly why I'm gonna take the over. I don't think you have to be Anthony Richardson last year level bad to not get.
The defense is layered. The receivers are there, and Taylor is still totally capable of being a top 5 back in the league to me.
100%. Moving on to the NFC. NFC North, we'll start with Detroit, 10.5.
It's a competitive NFC North. I'm going to take the under.
Speed run. Under.
Under. Green Bay, 9.5.
9 and 8 under.
Under.
Over, I believe in Jordan Love. Chicago, 8.5.
I'll take the over. 9 and 8.
You said 8.5?
Mm-hmm.
Chicago. Who's the head coach now?
Ben Johnson.
Over.
Over as well. They'll be a playoff team. Minnesota, 8.5.
Such a good roster. I'm going to take the over. Really quarterback dependent.
Under.
Under. JJ McCarthy sucks. NFC East, Philadelphia, 11.5.
12 and 5 over.
Over.
Fairly over. I think it depends on Jalen Hurts' health.
I would agree. Washington,
Top 5
9.5.
Jalen Hurts, top 5 quarterback. Sorry, just saying that for the fans.
Jalen Hurts, top 5 quarterback.
Absolutely not.
At Joey Hines.
At Joseph Hines,
Shout out.
our number 1 commenter.
Washington, 9.5.
Sophomore slump. Under.
You're such a hater.
9.5.
Well, they went 12 last year.
Yeah, I don't think they have as much success as last year. But that offensive line. I think they win 9 games. No, 10 games. Over.
I think this is the freest money out of everything we've said so far. I'm smashing the over. Put the mortgage on it.
Clip that.
Clip that. Dallas, 7.5.
We went 7 and 10, and Dak only played like 6 games. I'm gonna take the over.
Unfortunately, I'm going to take the over as well. I think, I think Dak's health is definitely going to help them out. I also think that they'll probably end up drafting a running back, so their running game will be a lot better. Over.
I think Dak's either going to have a monster season or he's going to continue the trend of being hurt and missing significant time.
It's the Joe Burrow cycle.
Right. I'm probably the biggest shoddy skeptic on the planet, so I'm going to take the under.
If Joe gets in, he'll cook. He can throw the ball 85
That's
times.
actually
That's a very good
That's
point.
something that I failed to consider is even
without Dak.
Dak's out, they might be better.
I'm still going to take the under. I can't trust in shoddy. The other New York team with the lowest win total, New York Giants, 5.5.
At Joseph Hines.
At Joseph Hines.
Try it out. Our number 1
Boy.
commenter.
Johnny, you want to take the lead on this one?
New York Giants, what's the win total?
5.5.
I think it's a team that's surrounded by a lot of water. And I think Jameis does well when surrounded by water. I'm going to take the over.
Number 1 pick next year, Arch Manning to the Giants. Lock it in. Take the under.
I'm going to take the under. I think it's a tank year.
NFC West. San Francisco 10.5.
Under.
Under. Easy.
Why?
It's a hard sell.
Okay. I think they'll be right around 9 or 10.
I don't think they want to win 10 games.
I think 8 tops.
I'll take the under because the division.
Division's tough.
Yeah.
LA Rams 9.5.
Take the over. Probably 11.
You said 9.5?
Mm-hmm.
LA Rams. I'll take the over. Devontae and Puka are gonna wreak havoc on the secondaries.
We haven't seen evidence that Matt Stafford has started to decline yet, so until we see that, smashing the over, I'm about the same confidence level as I am with Washington and smash this. Arizona 8.5.
Under.
Yeah, I think it's time to start questioning some of the roster moves there. Might need to make some changes. Big ones.
Pending a good draft, I'm still a Kyler believer. If San Francisco's as bad as some people are suggesting this year, I'd flirt with the over. But until I see them nail the draft, I'll probably lean under as well. Seattle 7.5.
I'll take the over. I think 8 and 9 is super easy.
Seattle with a Sam Darnold, who I am a firm believer in. Yeah, give me the over.
Same here. Big Sam Darnold guy. I'll take the over.
What does Ryan Ponting think?
I think Ryan Ponting's probably going to take the under. Shout out my boy. Happy birthday. Finally, NFC South. We have Tampa at 9.5.
Over. Easy.
I don't think anybody in the
explanation
NFC South is finishing with 10 wins.
No explanation needed. We made the right signings. We're gonna draft well. Bucky's gonna rush for 2,000 yards. Over.
That's believable.
Over.
I'm gonna
Like
take,
Irving MVP.
I'm gonna take 9 and 8.
Barely under.
And Todd Bowles hired a game manager.
Which is?
It's a head coach. It's a coach that just basically does game management. In game management, he advises on when to take timeouts, when to challenge plays, basically everything that Todd Bowles is really, really bad at.
Dallas should look into one of
Yeah,
those.
Mike McCarthy should also look into one of those as well.
I'm going to take the under. I think they finish third in the division. Sorry.
Wow. That much belief in Penix, huh?
A lot, yeah.
And Bryce.
With that being said, 7.5 for Atlanta. You already know my answer.
I think the over is pretty reasonable here.
8 wins.
Drake London is so good.
He is very good. He is very, very good.
Does Kyle Pitts finally break
Darnell
out this
Mooney
year?
is so good.
That's
No,
right.
Kyle Pitts is not.
That's probably a top 8 receiving duo to me.
It's probably a top 3 skill position room.
If Atlanta can draft
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
draft defense well this year, I think that Atlanta will take the over.
Yeah, they got to go like all defense for sure. I'd probably say 10, 11 wins if Penix is as good as he was advertised. New Orleans 6.5.
Under. 5 wins at best.
There's just no money.
I've seen flirtations with him drafting Shador if he falls. I'd take the over if that happens. If not, probably the under.
I don't understand why you would re-sign Chase Young for so much money if
Yeah.
you're already in cap hell.
They were already in
I mean-
surplus. Like, they needed... There's cuts that we haven't seen yet that are going to have to be made by League Day 1. Like,
What's the edge rush room look like if they don't have him? Old Cam Jordan, and then what else? You know what I mean? I don't hate the signing as much. Maybe that's me being a contrarian, but
they draft well defensively,
true.
pretty historically. That said, I mean, Chase Young, for what he was advertised to be since the draft, would be a great re-signing, and he's just not that.
Mhm.
He just hasn't been with the Niners, with the former Redskins. Like,
His career path kind of reminds me a little bit of Jadeveon Clowney, like such a highly touted prospect, top 2 pick, and once he gets to the league, like he's not bad, but he's just not productive enough to
Somebody
warrant.
online said that on the message board said that he's the first man to make $50 million off of Aura alone.
That might be true.
Not play.
Might be true.
Sauce Gardner's coming for that title, though.
You think he gets paid more than Stingley?
I think he's going to test the market if he doesn't get it from New York, and I think he'll get
it from
comparable
somebody.
money somewhere.
New York's stupid enough to give him that deal, so I'd say so. Final team here, Carolina, 6.5.
Over.
Big Bryce Young guy.
I love Bryce Young.
7 wins. Who's their wide receiver 1? Xavier Legette?
They'll probably
Yes.
draft one though.
Yeah.
T-Mac.
They're in a
Or
position to
school.
take the first receiver off the board.
Under. I think they get 7 wins.
I'd like to see him double up on receiver, to be honest.
Mhm.
Bryce Young showed enough flashes to me last year to where you want to give him everything possible this next season and see if there's something salvageable there. And if you give him enough weapons and he still can't do it, then you know.
The offensive line is there. The defense is competent enough. And I really love bringing in Rico after the second Brooks ACL. I think Chuba and Rico will be a very solid rushing duo. So I think Bryce can get 7 wins.
You actually bring up a good point. Why would Rico sign there when he's like 100% going to be the RB2? When he could have stayed in Dallas to be an RB1, most likely. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I forgot Chuba Hubbard was there.
I mean, with Dallas, there's a chance that they draft somebody so head and shoulders above Rico that Rico just doesn't get even 30% of the snaps at RB.
So you're saying like there's a chance that it's a split back scheme, or maybe
Could be.
Rico
I mean, like
overtakes him?
Tony Pollard's role behind Zeke. I could see that.
Okay.